As more and more spin-offs come out of Yellowstone, we're all getting a bit lost attempting to keep track of the Dutton lineage and relations. That's where Outsider comes in. We've been mapping out the Dutton family tree for years now, and we're sorting it all out right here so you can enjoy 1923 and go back to 1883 again while knowing who's who to whom. Let's start at the beginning of the Dutton legacy 1883, which was fantastic. It features James Dutton, played by Tim McGraw, and his wife Margaret Dutton, played by McGraw's real-life wife, Faith Hill. Right off the bat, it's important to know that James is the great-great-grandfather of Yellowstone's John Dutton, played by Kevin Costner. James has two siblings that we know of: Claire, who appears in 1883, and yes, that is Dawn Olivieri, who also plays Sarah Atwood in Yellowstone, but Sarah is not a Dutton, so don't worry about that. Claire, however, dies in 1883, but James's older brother, Jacob Dutton, is played by Harrison Ford in 1923. Sadly, James and Margaret also lose their firstborn, Elsa Dutton, by the end of 1883. Their second child, John Dutton, survives and goes on to play a pivotal role in 1923. James and Margaret also have another son after 1883, named Spencer, whom we've only met briefly in Yellowstone Season 4 flashbacks. Spencer, however, becomes a main character in 1923, like his older brother John. Thanks to Yellowstone, we learn that James Dutton died in 1893. Then, 1923's premiere tells us that Margaret wrote to James's older brother, Jacob Dutton, after his death, hoping he would come out and save their family and ranch in Montana. Sadly, Margaret met a chilling demise literally in 1894 before Jacob could arrive. He found Margaret frozen to death and their two boys, John and Spencer, half-starved. Jacob and his Scottish wife, Cara Dutton, played by Helen Mirren, took in the boys and raised them as their own. Thus, 1923 records the account of Jacob and Cara in their dusk a very long time as John and Spencer Dutton assist them with building or remake the Dutton realm. John Dutton is the connective tissue tying 1883, 1923, and then some. His more youthful sibling, Spencer, headed out to battle in the Second Great War and afterward decided to cut his own way as opposed to become attached to the farm. The last time we saw Spencer was in Yellowstone Season 4 flashbacks, yet when we find him in 1923, he's a widely popular tracker, played by Brandon Sklenar, who is, can we just be real, strangely attractive. With respect to his more established sibling, John or John Sr., as we'll call him, we initially met him in 1883 as a 5-year-old, played by lovable Audie Rick. Truly, see this youngster so adorable. We additionally saw him again in those Yellowstone Season 4 flashbacks close by Spencer. When 1923 comes around, we get to know him through entertainer James Identification Dale as a grown-up thriving. Presently, to the extent that the genealogy goes, this John Sr., the child of James Dutton, is the incredible granddad of Yellowstone's John Dutton. This John Sr. carries on the Yellowstone heritage. He and his better half, Emma, have one kid that we are aware of, and you won't ever figure his name. That's right, it's John Dutton. This John goes by Jack, which was normal at that point. We're as yet not certain how or why society concluded that Jack could be short for John, yet we are right here. In any case, as John Sr.'s child, Jack is the extraordinary nephew to Harrison Passage's Jacob Dutton. All the more critically, he is the granddad of Kevin Costner's John Dutton. Jack is set to acquire the Yellowstone Dutton farm, which he'll pass down to his child, likewise named John Dutton, who has not yet been brought into the world in 1923, so don't get befuddled. At the point when he is conceived, he'll grow up to turn into the John Dutton Sr. we met in Yellowstone's initial flashbacks, played by Dabney Coleman, also called the dad of Costner's John Dutton. How about we sum up the primary Dutton ancestry? James Dutton, John Dutton Sr., Jack Dutton, John Dutton Sr., once more John Dutton of Yellowstone. Which at long last gets us to Yellowstone the 1980s. John and his significant other, Evelyn Dutton, had 3 youngsters, Lee Dutton, who passed on in 2018, Beth Dutton, a living hopeless train wreck, and Case Dutton, the third conceived, presently set to acquire the farm after Lee's demise, basically until Beth wedded Tyr. Can we just be real? They're vastly improved, prepared to run this farm. John and Evelyn likewise embraced Jamie during the 1980s. His organic dad, Garrett Randall, was not uncovered to Jamie until some other time throughout everyday life, which prompted a significant character emergency and the homicide of his introduction to the world dad, who was attempting to kill his receptive dad, John Dutton. Gracious, what a tangled web we weave, Duttons. Yellowstone Season 4 showed that Jamie is a dad himself. He and Christina have a youngster, whom we learn in Season 5 is named after Jamie. Enter Jamie Dutton Jr. At the point when Beth finds out, she's irate, as Jamie permitted her to go through a methodology that delivered her fruitless as a high schooler. Yet Beth and her better half, Tara Wheeler, have Carter to some degree their embraced child. The equals among Carter and Tyr are uncanny, and Tyr at last refers to him as child partially through Yellowstone Season 5, which we actually haven't recuperated from. Lastly, we come to Case's family. Case Dutton and his wife, Monica, have a son, Tate Dutton. As it stands, Tate is the 7th generation of Duttons, which is significant if you go back to 1883 and listen to the 7th generation prophecy. Within 7 generations, my people will rise up and take it back from you. The 7th generation is here. Tate stands to inherit the entire Dutton Empire one day, but by that prophecy, it's not exactly good news. At the beginning of Season 5, Monica is in labor with their second son, but a terrible car crash on the way to the hospital injures her, Tate, and the baby. Tragically, their second baby boy passes away only an hour after birth. Tate reveals to his grandfather that his little brother was set to carry on the legendary family name John Dutton. For now, that's where the Dutton family tree stops, though Case and Monica are considering trying for another baby. And as 1923 continues, we may meet more family members who will branch out this tree even further. Oh, and Yellowstone mastermind Taylor Sheridan has Dutton dramas set in the 1940s and 1960s in the works too, so be sure to stay tuned to all things Outsider. Remember to comment your favorite or least favorite moment of this episode, like this video, and subscribe to Outsider for more Yellowstone episode reviews.